Yes. And more yes. We are back. It's another week. We are coming into the home stretch of Godzilla movies. But I am, of course, the one and only Gonzo Mike. That recovered from a trip of wine drinking in Napa Valley, but I also thought I saw in Gearus out there maybe some Baragon action as well, but it could have just been the wine. Anyway, I'm here. Gonzo Tim is here.
Gonzo Tim is here, not recovered from watching the 1998 American Godzilla, which we'll get to, but it still hurts.
Oh, it is rather painful.
What a way to crap on a legacy. Oh.
So we'll get to that this week, but we decided when we were into this, first let me crack open my Monster energy drink. Oh, yes. And then
that was for the Monster energy drink.
Rawr. And so we decided kind of in the middle of this to go ahead and squeeze in the 98 movie because it's part of the history. It's also part of why it took another 10 years for Toho to give away another movie right for this movie. It hurt. So we decided to add it in there just for our recording purposes and historical purposes.
I guess.
This leads more credence to having us being almost like the Ken Burns version of the Godzilla retrospective. We had to do the good with the bad.
1998 brought with it a dark time. Godzilla movie with a poor imitation of the well-known creature.
Many audiences were disappointed. This led to another prohibition. What?
Godzilla would not see the light of day again for 10 years.
So this week we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do Godzilla vs. Destoryah next, and that's kind of the end of the Hasway. I keep getting that the Heisei series. It kind of marks the end of it, and it's kind of a sad goodbye too. It marks the end of the Heisei series, and then we do Godzilla, the American one, where Mo from The Simpsons is in this movie, and then the next one is yeah, I know.
Actually, so is Bart Simpson, by the way.
Yes, and I certainly had a cow while watching it.
Oh.
And then we do Godzilla 2000, which is kind of Toho's answer to that, and you could tell like. How much of the pendulum swung the other way when they did that. And then we'll wrap up with Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. Kind of an out there movie, and I'm glad we're ending on that because then we flip it around to... I like to think that the last four would be a victory lap in terms of just the Godzilla mythology. But we'll get to that next week. This week we just get the end of the Heisei series, the crappy 98 movie, and then kind of the answer to that for the next two movies. Which, like, Toho takes some ideas from the 98 movie, believe it or not, and it's really good. And but, you know, they also kind of answer back with one improvement that we'll get to, at least a couple, but one especially that I like a lot. But anyway, so... first of all, before we get started, Tim, you saw the Kickstarter thing today, right?
I did see a Kickstarter today, and it was for Rift Tracks. It was for them to raise enough money to get the rights to get the 1998 Godzilla movie and live riff it as they have with some other productions. Basically, they would do a live riff and show it in various movie theaters across the country.
Now, if you don't know riff tracks, it's basically Mike Nelson, Bill Corbet, and Kevin Murphy, who were, well, two of them started out originally with Kevin Murphy, originally with Mystery Science Theater 3000. So I wanted to point that out because, again, that's kind of how this whole thing came around for me for up until Gonzo Guys Today was. I watched Godzilla as a kid, and I saw Godzilla on Mystery Science Theater 3000. Mystery Science Theater 2000 led us to Gonzo Guys, and now it's all kind of wrapping in together in a nice little bow here. So the Rick Track guys, Kevin Murphy did the voice of Tom Sorbo, Mike Nelson, who took over as Mike J. Nelson in the show when Joel Hodgson left, and then Bill Corbet or whatever, he showed up later on after Forster left, Clayton Forster, Trace Bilyeu, after he left. So those guys do their own thing. They kind of make fun of movies, and they had the genius idea of having an MP3 track that you could sync up with movies that would help them sidestep rights issues and things like that, which Gonzo Tim knows very well about rights and copyright now.
Dude, YouTube.
So we came out with a Kickstarter today. It's Tuesday, May the 13th, 2014, right before the premiere this weekend. They came out with a Kickstarter to riff the 98 craptastic movie. And within like a couple of hours, they met their goal of about $100,000 to pay for the licensing to be able to do a live riff track in a movie theater for Godzilla, which should be coming around in August. And I know I'm going. Are you going to that, Tim?
When that comes out, I will for sure. They better be. Well, I'm kind of in the sticks, so if I can, I will.
Yeah, they do a good job of like spreading it out to theaters. Usually there's at least one theater in a town that has the satellite capability to be able to like tune in.
I think I can get to it, but I don't know. There's a bit of a monopoly in my burg.
Well, fortunately, if you do miss it, Tim, there are, of course, man, we're doing live reads for selling this. You can get the MP3. Like, if you back the Kickstarter, you have a chance to get the MP3. You also have a chance to get an MP3 of the riffing pre-show. So they did a great job Kickstarter-wise of lining up all these different neat prices. So Tim, if you miss out on that, I'm sure you'll be able to find the MP3 and fire up your copy and laugh and cry like. Well, okay, we cried most through '98, but at least bring the laughter up a little bit. You can make it more of an even type movie. So, anyway, and lastly, because I'm rambling, I've been doing a good job staying away from spoilers, Tim, but there are reviews that are trickling out right now that I'm starring for later, and so far I see that they're pretty positive.
I have stayed away from too much news about it. On the other hand, it's mainly because I've been spending all my time looking for spoilers in the new Star Wars movie. But
yeah, Han Solo dies, by the way. Spoiler alert.
I don't care. He's like 70 something.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He may actually die before we get to the movie. Yeah. I'm just fingers crossed Max von Sydow makes it through the filming, but.
Oh God. You know, it would make, yeah, okay. We'll do a Star Wars episode.
We'll do that later, but I'm just going to say
I got theories about that as well, and I don't want to get...
Let's just say this. They should film his parts first.
Just wink, wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The man is not young. No, I stayed away from most spoilers about the new Godzilla. I have seen images of who he fights.
I've done a good job of. I've seen the leg
accident. I saw like a toy ad for it, and they actually showed the things.
I stayed away from trailers. I stopped looking at trailers, and I stopped looking at stuff. So I know of that he fights another monster. I know it's got some weird legs, and it may or may not fly. I also know that it might or might not be related to a character that we've seen a movie already of. I don't know about that, but I'm going to leave that up in the air and
I
suspend
just
my.
know there is another giant thing in this movie, which is good.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just makes it so much better than '98. This is going to be by the way,
That immediately starts
this is
different.
going to be the '98 show. By the way, we may just blow through these other three and spend most of our time on '98 because we can deconstruct that
Ugh, no.
Gonzo guy style and really pick it apart. Um,
It deserves
so
to be.
yeah, it's terrible. So yeah, so far like AV Club said it did Godzilla right, which is nice.
That's good.
But I mean, I'm not gonna go in there with any kind of bias because of the '98 movie. So
It's not a high bar to pass.
no, they set the bar low. They even we'll get to it, but they even like that even helped that postponed Peter Jackson's King Kong movie. That movie did so bad. It actually affected production of other monster movies that were in the works.
Oh,
That's how bad it was. So, so anyway, so that's good. I'm seeing it Thursday. Tim will probably see it sometime this weekend. Look for a couple the very last set of 4 movies, and then we'll probably do a special on the movie itself. And I'll have a cool graphic ready to go for spoiler alerts because we will be getting into spoilers on it. So here's your pre spoiler alert for that because we will be talking about the movie.
yeah.
So
All right.
that's it. Let's kick it off. It is Godzilla versus Destoryah.
And Destoryah gets one of these.
Now, the Heisei series did really great on continuity, and they really did a good job of like piecing together like what was going on, and this kind of like takes over. The lady, when Space Godzilla died, the Mika lady, like travels over to the island, just to see how Godzilla and Little Godzilla is doing. And it's destroyed though, so it looks like also that they noticed that Godzilla has a different look. I think it has a summer look.
He's got the glowing red belly, legs, and arms. He kind of looks like if it wasn't. It looks like he's swallowed some lava, or perhaps like a red, fruity, icy, but he's hot.
Yeah, yeah. So he's glowing red. I wonder what's
Kind of
happening.
extra pissed.
Yeah. So they cut to like some sister TV newscaster. Here's a human story. There's a kid. There's a sister and a kid, and that's what I liked about this. Is they did a lot of callbacks to the original Godzilla. They kind of also retconned it. So like they showed scenes from the original Godzilla, but instead of like the really crappy one they did way back in the day, they had the CG version of what Godzilla looks like now, doing the same stuff. And they call back to that, and apparently like this TV newscaster and this really smart kid is related to the original like doctor like scientist people who killed Godzilla way back in the very first movie. So they do a long reach connection back to the first Godzilla movie, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's the it was the kid's related to the eye patch scientist from the 1954 movie.
Yeah.
He's
So
got a nice little picture of him on his wall, just in case you forget.
yeah, to really it's like, hello, bing, 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 is this on?
Hint, hint, hint.
Yeah. So the nerd like kind of gets accepted to whatever like G-force thing that's going on right now, and they eventually do some readings and stuff, and they realize that Godzilla is kind of overheating. He's about to have a meltdown. So
His heart is basically its own reactor, and it's getting ready to either explode or a meltdown, neither of which is real good for anybody.
yeah. So in the meantime, like that Mika lady, the little Godzilla wasn't on the island. She's wondering where little Godzilla is because she's got, of course, this connection to all the Godzillas. So she's running around doing that. They find out about that reactor thing, so they do that, and then the kid is trying to bring back the legacy of the oxygen destroyer. He wants to bring it back and use it against Godzilla again.
He's actually making something that's going to be supposedly good, but it's really the oxygen destroyer again. Destroyer again.
Yep. And so they somehow figure that out, and then of course we get the Super X3 this time, which actually isn't as bad looking as the others. So,
the music is the same though.
Oh man.
Dun, 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 and then it takes about 7 minutes for them to show the thing go up out of the stupid little hangar and take off.
Yeah. So
they like a good takeoff montage. I'll say that. Japanese like those.
Yep. So and this is where it kind of gets a little bit different. They have fun. So they do some readings and they do some research and stuff, right? And they find out that either what happened? The oxygen destroyer stuff that happened last time, it also affected it was either that or the nuclear testing affected the microorganisms in the ground, and it caused them to mutate and grow as well. And I think it was from the old oxygen destroyer, and apparently it seems like it was mutated and they grew into these things that they started to call Destoryah. Of course, oxygen destroyer. It's Destoryah. So we get you know how the fun of the Heisei movies is they usually like to rip off an American movie. And Tim, I'll give you 3 guesses with these little destroyers running around. What movies they were trying to rip off for this?
Oh, hang on. I'm trying to get a mental picture of the little destroyer creatures.
So they're running around in corridors. The teeth kind of extend out. They're kind of gross. They drip with ooze and stuff.
Oh, Jurassic Park.
That's close. I went with aliens on that, actually.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
But I can see how both. Yeah.
But Alien, yeah, more so Alien. Yeah.
Yeah. So because the one thing I remember is the little mouth thing that they had, where it's like bloop.
Oh no, that's straight out of Alien. They have a mouth in their mouth that does stuff.
Yeah. So
is this also the one where they have they find a new gene? They determine that Godzilla's got a regeneration thing, or is that the other movie?
It's not this one.
That's 2000.
Probably 2000.
Okay.
Certainly not 98.
No, it's not 98. That would ask way too much.
Yeah. So what do? They freeze. They think
they can freeze them.
They think they can freeze him, and because they need to cool him, they need to hit him at the exact point where his heart goes into meltdown, and they hit him, they freeze him, and they think they can minimize the damage of Godzilla's meltdown by doing that at the exact moment that he freezes down. So, but meanwhile, Godzilla Jr. shows up. So apparently, Godzilla Jr. went from the stupid baby-looking thing to an actual miniature version of what Godzilla looks like.
Kind of just a little. He's about half the size now, not person size, but half the size of Godzilla, and a little more dinosaur-looking still.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite have spines.
So what happens? Godzilla. I guess they call him in this movie. They call him Godzilla Jr.
Call him Godzilla Jr. They want Godzilla. They want to make Godzilla before he melts down. Fight. Destroy this little creature things. Start forming a big creature.
Mm-hmm.
They all merge together, which happens a couple times in these other movies. They form a big Destoryah creature. which they quickly name. And then they're like, well, we got to have Godzilla fight this thing. And they're like, how do we? Well, let's put Godzilla Jr. in the middle and put him in danger, and then we'll have Godzilla get pissed off and he'll fight the big monster.
Yeah, so the sidekicks lure Baby Godzilla on over.
And once again, Baby Godzilla's going to get his ass whooped.
Yeah, because then the destroyer things that kind of jump together and form this giant, larger destroyer thing. So
they kind of make these little moderately sized monsters become the one big giant enemy.
Mm-hmm. There's kind of a pattern we see with a couple of these movies where they have different stages of the same monster getting bigger and bigger and tougher and tougher.
And so they form, they get Godzilla Jr. He kind of puts up a little bit. I mean, he gets in there and he shoots his fire breath, and he holds his own for a little bit, and then the thing just lays a whooping on him and knocks him down. And Godzilla then shows up and they throw down.
Yeah, and finally, Godzilla, they have a fight, and yep. Godzilla eventually gets the upper hand, I believe.
He gets the upper hand, then the little thing splits and goes back down into the other little destroyers and runs around and causes havoc. And then it comes. It's like it can separate and go back together whenever it feels like it needs to.
Well, and Destoryah did have the opportunity to take little Godzilla and just like throw him down on the ground and pretty much kills Godzilla Jr.
He's pretty much dead. Right in front of us, right in front of Mika, the sidekick girl.
Godzilla couldn't revive Junior.
He came over and he's like, "Oh, you killed my kid, so now I'm really mad."
So somehow, like, that's when the heart starts really getting into meltdown phase, and the blasts now are a little more like forceful. So he's blasting Destoryah with this.
And he's being pretty concerned about it, and there's little flashes coming off of Godzilla. But before that, right before they start fighting, Godzilla kind of leans down and he breathes this little orange life beam into Junior. And they leave it at that, but it looks like he's breathing like life essence into him a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, Destoryah forms again and grows even bigger to a bigger thing. But, yeah, Godzilla blasts him with the mega stuff, right? And then he tries to fly away, and then at that moment, they zap the Destoryah with the freeze ray, and it kind of helps just like disintegrate the Destoryah.
It freezes him, and then it reacts the way Destoryah works, and he kind of turns to dust.
Yeah. So
then you got Godzilla still smoking.
He's about ready to blow. I liked how Godzilla looked in the meltdown thing, where the smoke was behind him, just steaming, and he had the red glow. He looked pretty badass there.
And his spines start melting. He's so hot.
Yeah, so he starts melting down, and they hit him at the last second with another freeze ray.
And it's supposed to just the best they can do is contain the blast, and they've basically given up on Tokyo at this point. They're like, well, he's going to blow up. Tokyo is going to be a ghost city, but at least because before, if they didn't do anything, his destruction would kill the whole world, either through meltdown or through an explosion. And so they're like, all right, we give him Tokyo. He's going to melt down, but we'll freeze him so it's minimal. And they're preparing for the end of Tokyo, and he melts down.
Yeah, and it was a really sad scene. It was really sad watching the music and all that other stuff. It was really sad.
He melts and screams, and you're like, oh man, he's really good.
So, yeah. So I guess that's the end of Godzilla. No more movies, right?
No. So they watch they have their little computer measurements, and they're watching the radiation levels in Tokyo go sky high because he melted down, so it's a big radioactive mess. And then all of a sudden, the radioactive levels just start dropping and dropping and dropping, and they're back to normal all of a sudden. I'm like, well, what happened? Well, Junior, who was knocked out and had a little bit of Godzilla life left in him, sucked up all the radiation, and magically he looks just like his dad now with big spines, and he now stands in the shadow of Tokyo roaring.
Yeah, it was a great send-off. Just the shadows and how it was quiet, and then all of a sudden it was like, meh! It was cool.
And he had the spines he didn't have before, and so it's basically like Godzilla lives.
Yeah, so it was a good send-off to...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good send-off to this series, and it was also good because they called the original one. They touched on a lot of the themes and stuff from the first movie, and then they also did a good job of kind of just cleaning up the mess left by the last couple of movies. So like the Destoryah is gone, that Godzilla's gone. It's a new Godzilla in town. The end.
The end.
Yeah, it was a great ending. It really gave me a good, warm, happy feeling, which was quickly
I was gonna say.
quickly stabbed and melted. For our next movie, Godzilla.
Godzilla, the desecration of a corpse. I mean, Godzilla, American, 1998.
Oh,
Oh, so bad.
so
Oh, no, wait. We switched movies, right?
yeah.
So, where is my... I had a roar for this. Where's the roar for this one?
Oh yeah.
That's,
Pretty much.
that's what that one gets right there. I'll tell you that.
Now, I'm pretty sure you haven't seen Godzilla vs. Destroyer yet. And I'm pretty sure you have seen this Godzilla movie. Is that right?
What's that? I've seen Destroy. I had not seen... I never actually watched this movie for a couple reasons.
Oh, really? What are they?
One, Matthew Broderick.
That's a pretty good reason.
Number two, the soundtrack.
I actually bought the soundtrack.
I just detested that Puff Daddy stole a Led Zeppelin. He didn't steal it, but he got permission. I detest the fact that they mixed those things together, Puff Daddy and Led Zeppelin. And when this film came out, I had no desire whatsoever to see it, partially because of that, partially because of Matthew Broderick. And so I've actually never had seen this thing. I've seen parts of it because I've had channels where it's on, but I have seen parts of this several times, never all of it. Every part I saw in pieces confirmed my suspicion that it was a piece of crap. So this time I was not looking forward to sitting through it. I don't want to have to watch it, but I did. So
I was, of course, super stoked. I bought T-shirts. I got the soundtrack. I got, Rage Against the Machine came out with a vinyl record single of No Shelter that I bought, too, that I have floating around. Just to date the time, yes, Rage Against the Machine was on the soundtrack. So I was stoked about it, and I left the movie a little disappointed because it really wasn't that good. I wanted to believe that it was really good, but it wasn't really good. And after seeing it again now, there are many more reasons that I thought as a young Mikester, a young Gonzoling, that came out that just, for me to even that's why it's going to be hard for me, even with these reviews that are coming out, to be excited about this one, because it was such a letdown when this one came out. It was just...
Yeah, this one's already got 4 steps ahead of the other one.
We hope.
The trailer alone for this movie is better than the entirety of the 1950s.
I could watch 2.5 hours of just that trailer alone and it'd be better than this
Just
movie.
give me the 2 alternate trailers and I'm good. It's already better.
Okay. Well, all right, buckle up. We got to get through this.
98 Godzilla. Dun, 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 dun.
So basically, here are the differences. I don't even know if I really want to
We have to go deep into this. We should just go over the pieces of crap that are in it.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, it's the French's fault. Blame the French on this? What?
Yeah. There's no Japanese involvement in this, is there?
Except for dudes in a fishing boat.
And let's see here. It's the French's fault because they did nuclear testing on some islands in the South Pacific. Okay, that's kind of similar. Okay. Except, if you watch just the opening credits should tell you it's going to see a stinker. What do they show over and over again? A freaking iguana.
Yeah, iguana.
Iguana.
So Godzilla is an iguana,
He's
apparently.
a mutated fucking iguana.
Yeah, not really scary. Sorry, iguanas, for those of you that are watching.
He's an iguana. And then we got to go to New York with over hammy acting. Oh, Hank Azaria. Oh, you. I'm from New York. I'm all it is, man. Oh, God.
This is my stereotypical wife. Yeah.
I don't like my husband doing his job, but I love him. He's so great. I'm from New York. There's their entire parts in the movie.
Meanwhile, Matthew Broderick is shocking worms in Russia, and he's like, I'm a nerd and I'm uncomfortable.
I shock worms. I like to work by myself in Chernobyl and not wear any protective clothing whatsoever, and I touch stuff all the time, which is the first thing they tell you not to do in Chernobyl.
It's Tatopolis.
Tatopolis. I have a funny Greek name.
It says he was grabbing, yeah. He was grabbing worms. They call him the worm guy throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, that's funny. Yuck, yuck, yuck. There's a lot of actors in this I just don't like. I didn't like the military guy. I've never liked anything he's in.
Harry Shearer was kind of a pain.
I was mistaken. I had in my heart my hope of hopes that either Harry Shearer or Hank Azaria would both get crushed by the new Godzilla, but it became abundantly clear that wasn't going to happen. I held out some hope that Harry Shearer, because he was kind of a dick, would get killed. Nope.
Yeah, Jean Reno is part of the French secret military. Ugh.
Which, for some reason, had to work by themselves? Yeah, because the U.S. military wasn't being secretive enough, so...
Yeah. And then the redhead lady was hitting on him, and she was annoying.
And let's see here. Oh, yeah.
The love interest was so boring. I hated that lady.
It was a smidge convoluted, too. What are the chances that she's going to run into him? They were college sweethearts. She leaves him at the altar, essentially, because she wants to be a hotshot reporter in New York City.
And she's like been in New York City for so long, and she's still like innocent and dumb and doesn't know how to do anything in New York. And
she's just the assistant to this dickwad reporter, Harry Shearer,
hated
who
her.
has a secretary in his office who is Nancy Cartwright, who is the voice of Bart Simpson. So you have at least 3 Simpsons voices in this movie.
Oh, God. Ugh.
So I'm guessing that somebody produced this movie is the same.
We'll get into the conspiracy here in a second.
Okay. Anyway, back to the crap of the movie itself. So the French are operating by themselves for no reason. The aliens are there. There's a big footprint. They kind of tease you like it's going to be a promising thing, and then...
So there's one trope in this movie that gets overplayed, and that's with Godzilla's coming, and then they have the CGI guy running away from Godzilla at the last second.
Yeah.
And it started with that old guy on the pier running away from Godzilla.
I was just like, I need a few more people to get squashed. But
yeah. 24 minutes in.
They don't kill a lot of people outright in the Japanese movies either, unless they're really bad. For the most part, people always like run into a corner or get away. Less so in the newer Godzilla movies, but come on, this movie was so like he got away.
Well, so like 24 minutes in, we see Zilla, right? Like he shows up, you know.
Yeah, so he's Zilla.
And the mayors. Let me talk about the mayors because I was prodding you. I was prodding you before for a whole week of like, did you get the reference? Did you get the reference?
I did not get the reference.
So do you remember the announcement that they had when they announced the mayor? He's like, "Here's your mayor," and he's like, has 2 thumbs up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, his name was Mayor Ebert.
Oh.
And his assistant was Siskel.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh. For the movie and me, but
yeah, I got surprised you didn't catch that.
No, but you know what? I did think he looked like Ebert on my own. I just thought, oh, that guy looks like Ebert.
It's because his name was Mayor Ebert. They had 2 movie reviewers as characters in this movie, as the mayor.
Oh my God.
And also, you know how they do like Panama or Tahiti or Russia, and the cool military letters.
Oh yeah, I know what's coming here. Oh,
For New York, they did the city that never sleeps. I'm just like,
that's basically all this. This movie is just one giant.
this fits into my theory. I think it's just giant F you to everybody on the planet. It's just.
Well, it was the viewers. They shit all over the way you do a Godzilla movie on the Japanese. They didn't even have. They had one Japanese fisherman.
No. And it was just an FU, to where Jean Reno and the French guys complained that he got coffee and donuts and didn't get like a croissant and espresso for breakfast while they're surveillancing.
And
they made it a point
that it was French roast.
Yes.
Oh God, this movie's awful. The only good thing I got out of this is it really made me want to watch the next Japanese one.
Yeah, that's true.
I had to have a palate cleanser. I'm like, I don't care how long it takes. I'm watching something else to get rid of this.
So yeah, it's.
I might add, it's also over 2 hours long.
It's way too long.
Too long. Japanese have it figured out. Hour 40 max.
Well, not only that, but it's like you can do 2 hours, but there was nothing going on pretty much the whole movie. It was like comedic Mayor Ebert, stupid ass love story, the French guys, and then Godzilla on the island hiding and evading and not sticking out in the city.
Yeah, hiding in the city. Yeah. There are some movies that can be 2 hours. One, they have to be good.
Yes.
Or at least entertaining. We don't have to be like masterpieces, but they have to be entertaining. Star Wars. All the Star Wars movies are about 2 hours, minus a couple of them that we don't need to talk about.
You know what?
The classic Star Wars are 2 hours long. The Avengers is 2 hours plus long. Pulp Fiction was 2 hours plus long. Those are good movies. This is a piece of shit, which means 2 hours feels like 6 hours.
Yeah, this actually ties in greatly to our last Epidose, where if you haven't seen it yet, go to podbean.com, godzillaguys.podbean.com. It should be on iTunes now.
It's available freshly in iTunes. It just populated in my list today.
Yeah, get that, because we talk a little bit about that while we review Abby. We talk about pacing in movies and how sometimes shorter is better, ladies. And so that we had a great conversation about that, and this is a great example of a movie that needed to be a lot shorter than what it actually was.
Like about 2 hours and 2 minutes shorter. Like never existing shorter.
Oh man! So what else? What else is painful about this? They lure it out with a bucket of fish, pretty much.
Yeah, he's just because he's a giant iguana. That's problem one. But
yeah,
they lure him out with fish. There was something he did in this. It was it's a she, and she has eggs, and she laid 1 million eggs, which was kind of cool because I was like, oh good, they're gonna lose, but they didn't, unfortunately.
Well, and this is where it rips off Jurassic Park. I think this was like an answer to Jurassic Park.
It looked a lot like it played a lot like Jurassic Park.
Not only was Zilla being a large raptor, but also when the babies hatched, they were like little mini raptors too.
And the problem was that was their schlocky thing. Godzilla was taking all the food back to her young, and I'm going to go with her being a her in this one.
Yeah.
Or whatever Godzilla is.
Actually, the guy who designed the monster did craft specifically female-like parts for the lizard.
Yeah. All right. So Lady Godzilla is taking fish back to feed her young when they get out of their shells. And so the intrepid, stupid reporter and overdone New York guy and stereotypical science nerd and the Frenchies are all down the tunnel, and they go to Madison Square Garden where it crapped out all its eggs. And one of them hatches out, and they realize, oh no, we smell like fish. It's going to eat us.
Yeah,
and then that leads to them trying to get out of the building and having a lot of Jurassic Park-style fights with doors and stuff.
Look out, they're smart animal monster lizards coming after you.
And then they magically get out and lock the door for half a second and outrun the explosion. Oh, Um,
So the fire breath isn't really there. I think the
oh
kind
yeah,
of
that's a big one now. There was no fire breath.
I think it was like it roared so much that it flipped the car up and it blew fire out.
Not the same.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the stupid ass love story's going on. I hate both those people.
Well, no, and he's, I mean, sorry to say, he's more in the right. She steals a tape from him to further her career, and then she gets screwed over, and then she comes back. She's like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. And then he takes her back. And it's just like, what the? She left him at the altar, and she stole, like, a classified tape that got him fired from the government job just to
Yeah.
further her career. So I don't see any reason why he would have any feelings for her at that point.
One of the things I do like is they kind of make a play and explain away the Gojira Godzilla thing because they did have that. There was that one Asian guy that they interviewed and they had on tape. There was that one Asian guy, but he said Gojira, and then Harry Shearer said Godzilla, and then the lady's like, "It's Gojira, you dumbass." I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's the one nod they give to it. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was it. They couldn't even put Japanese people in it. I know for a fact there's a Japanese guy who plays a part in the plot of the next one without any spoilers. I just know he is. So.
so, Matthew Broderick gets kicked out, and he teams up with the French guys, and they try to sneak in.
And their whole idea is they know there's a nest, and they need to kill the nest. If they can't just kill the big monster, because if they do, then it's not going to be good enough because it can lay eggs really fast. And since they don't need a mate to reproduce, if you have 40 eggs and they all reproduce. And so,
Hey, I got a quick question. Did you know? There's a little fun fact I found out from this movie. Did you know chewing gum makes you look American?
yeah, what the fuck was that?
When they were trying to sneak in, all the French guys were eating gum, and then they chewed loudly, and then he said, "Thank you very much." And he says, "Elvis Presley movies." And I'm just like,
it's like, well, apparently if you chew gum and do a shit Elvis impersonation, that'll get you right past a military guard. So.
yeah. Oh, I had this. Oh, so basically, Zilla dropped some steam demons in Madison Square Garden.
You have to listen to podcasts for that one.
Godzilla's swimming. I like that because they use that in the later Godzilla movies. I think it was cool.
Godzilla does swim, so I have no problem there.
That was nice, and they used that kind of graphic. I don't remember seeing that in the earlier movies because usually he just pops up out of water. So it was cool watching him swim. And
I always had the impression he just was like walking on the ocean floor.
Yeah.
Like lumbering across the ocean floor, heading across the coast. But he does swim and use his tail and stuff in the other Godzilla movies. But
so what do they end up doing? They end up blowing up Madison Square Garden or something, right?
Well, Godzilla's in the water and they send a submarine after it. And, oh yeah, this was the other piece of shit. So Godzilla runs and jumps in the ocean or the bay or wherever, and she's swimming around, and they send two like nuclear subs after her, I guess, and they both fire torpedoes, and then apparently they're Godzilla-seeking torpedoes, and they're chasing. It's like locked on and homing in on Godzilla, and then Godzilla like does a little pirouette through the two submarines and steers all the missiles right into the other submarine, like knowingly. So apparently Godzilla also understands complex weaponry. Anyway, and then one submarine gets a drop on her and shoots her with them as she's getting ready. She like swims into the shoreline and gets knocked out. And you're like, oh, okay, she's dead. We're going to go down and get the body. Meanwhile, they're blowing up the nest in Madison Square Garden. They don't have enough bombs to blow up all the eggs because there's so many. And anyway, they run around from little dinosaurs, and the military comes in. They do a special live report because it's the only way they can communicate, and say they should bomb the building at all costs, even if it kills them. So,
yeah.
And they have 6 minutes to get out, and they do, despite a bunch of shenanigans. And they blow up the building. And I'll say this, I did not like this movie at all, but when Godzilla shows back, but they blow up the building, and Godzilla pops up out of the ground because apparently it can burrow. It pops out of the ground
and stuff like that.
And pops up and like comes over and sees its dead babies on the ground. For such a lighthearted movie, they show you the dead corpses of little baby lizards. and they like the mom or whatever Godzilla is nudges them, and I'm like, you know what? Kill them all, Godzilla. Kill them all. Because they're like, well, if they all reproduce enough, they'll be the dominant species on the planet. It's like, well, tough shit. We had a good run. So it should be noted I actively root against the humans in these movies. So.
Yeah, I saw the text messages. You were hating on it pretty hard.
I partially blame this movie, but it's just like, it's our fault it exists. So you got to take your medicine.
and especially in the city that never sleeps.
City never. Right. Yeah, that should have been sign number 500 to turn the movie off. That was probably the first 5 minutes.
So yeah, I'm just gonna get to the end then.
So they think everything's hunky dory, and then oops, they missed an egg.
Ooh, yeah, they missed an egg.
And because there's going to be so many sequels to this movie.
Yeah, I didn't like how they used missiles to blow up Godzilla. I would have rather had Godzilla be more resilient to missiles.
I was gonna say that was the other thing. This Godzilla, like in the Japanese context, it takes everything they got to even put a dent in them, or run them off, or freeze them. They really can't beat them. And even when they send out robots and all kinds of crazy shit, this one's like you just shoot it. They're like, well, it's still just a big lizard, so we'll just shoot it and it'll die. And that's what they do.
So this movie, two things. One, it was terrible, but it kind of made me wonder when watching, like, okay, if I was in Japan and I watched the actors acted the way they did, like they did for this, would it have been the same? Like the kind of cheesy human story kind of thing going on? Would that have been the same in Japan if that was my natural language versus like watching subtitles or English dubbed over versions of it? And do I give it credit enough? Do I give it too much credit for being a foreign movie that I can throw that out the window and just like enjoy the movie versus like here? There are some still really corny human stories going on in this one, but it incites violence in me more than like the ones in the original Japanese series. So that kind of made me wonder a little bit, like, is it really that bad acting in Japan as well, and I just don't catch it? It gets lost in translation?
It could be that my take on it is this. I think they understood. Roland Emmerich knew enough to ruin this, but he knew enough to say there has to be like a human story on the side. But the whole thing with the Japanese thing is, even with the human story, the real story is Godzilla and how unstoppable Godzilla is. There's just nothing that can put him down. And in this one, it's just like, well, if you got a big enough gun, you can put it down. You just got to get him before he craps out of eggs. The end. That's all there is. There's no mythical power to it. Not that it has to be mythical, but there's no unstoppable, world-beating creature kind of thing. And Godzilla didn't reproduce in most of the movies, minus Manila and Junior. So
yeah.
It's just
and the sequel to the original one too.
And the sequel to the original one, but there's only like one real dangerous one at any given time.
Yeah.
And this was it was big and it was a problem, but it was just gonna nest, and so all I had to do is get some big guns and shoot it. Because at the end, that's all they do. They get it surrounded and shoot with a bunch of missiles, and it dies.
The end.
The end.
The other thing I thought about this movie is that this was definitely, like, even though Roland Emmerich and the other guy, I forgot his name, they got full rights to it. They were able to write it the way they wanted it and do it the way they wanted it. Excuse me. And it was Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich, and this was right after.
Ugh.
This is right after Independence Day, or right after it came out, and I think it was just a big FU to everybody. They say that they were rushed because they wanted to get it out on Memorial Day, but I think it was just a giant FU. I think it was like either that or some sort of Hollywood script by committee, where you had to get all the different stupid ass.
I'd say that was more the case.
it was just like the French people are bad. Roger and Ebert are the mayor. Here's wacky stereotypes. Here's some,
Everybody had to get their shit in. Is basically what it was.
yeah. I don't. Yeah, and they still, Emmerich and Devlin still make movies.
Yeah.
Some of them have been pretty good. Although, warning, there will be a Independence Day sequel coming down the pike.
Oh God.
Whew.
No, it was like a mixture of Independence Day and Jurassic Park. And I should note, I didn't really like Jurassic Park. And I didn't. In fact, you know what? I don't like Jurassic Park. I didn't really like it. I didn't like Jurassic Park. It did not capture my imagination. I thought it was boring. I know a lot of people love it, and that's fine. I'm sure I watch stuff that you think is boring, but I never got it. It was not for me. Whatever Jurassic Park was, it was not for me. And this reminded me a lot of Jurassic Park. That doesn't help. And it crapped on the Godzilla I've grown to know and love. Even in the various incarnations in Japan, there is a commonality to Godzilla, and it just the end. That movie sucked.
Well, yeah, let's get on. Let's move on. We've wasted it. I knew it was going to be the 98 episode. It is, but let's move on and let's take a look at how how Toho responded. With Godzilla 2000, or Godzilla Millennium, which some people call it. Godzilla 2000 Millennium.
Yes. And it should be noted this one is like technically it's jumping off from the 1954 movie.
Yeah, and this is part of the Millennium series. Let's get that roar.
Oh, yes, right. This one deserves this. This one's all right. This one's good. Good old Godzilla classic. Maybe not the best one, but it's so much better than the other one. There we go. Now we're back on track.
So this one, this is part of the Millennium series. The Heisei series is over. The Millennium series is kicking up. Heisei series lasted until 2004, 10 years ago. And what they do, and what you'll see, is that they use the original movie as a jumping off point for each movie. So like they're not tied together, and they don't have to be, but they always take the original 54 movie and do something with it. So that's kind of where
a series of like Godzilla Part 2. Here's Godzilla sequel. Here's a Godzilla sequel directly from the first one. Here's a Godzilla sequel directly from.
Now that said, in the last round of movies, there is a little bit of tie-in with two of the movies, but it makes sense because
5 of the last 6 movies have their own continuity, but there's 2 that do have connection.
Yeah, but we'll get to that next week.
That's a next week thing, but just so you know, most of these are standalones.
This one, they don't mess around at all. They're just like, bam, Godzilla shows up. So yeah, Godzilla goes bam, and he shows up out of the blue. It's awesome.
He's right there.
And and they overcompensate. They have the spines that are really, really, really huge, and angrier eyes, bigger claws. They hate everything about the other Godzilla in America. They just kind of overcompensate. And the spines especially are freaking huge.
He's got almost as much spine as he has lizard.
Yeah.
But he still looks much more like Godzilla than 98.
Yeah, so a meteorite crashes.
That's what we always do in these movies.
Which is good enough for me when you start out a Godzilla movie. I don't need.
Go ahead and let's go right Alien. Full time.
Yeah, I don't need to know about testing in South Pacific on iguanas or anything. So,
Aliens, let's go. Bammo.
Yeah. So human story. It's this dude who is actually in the last, not the last Godzilla movie in Japan, but the one with Mothra in the 90s, where he was the business guy, and he ended up stealing the Cosmos twins. And he actually ended up turning to the good side. He's the actor in this one, but he's not playing the same guy. him and his daughter are playing like the Godzilla prediction network, where they have a network of people and they look and predict where Godzilla's going to show up and stuff like that.
Okay, so that was the same guy from the other movie.
It was, but not the same character.
No, but I'm just saying that was the same actor because he looked really familiar, and I was like, he looks like the business schlub from the movie a few movies back.
Yes, will there be flubber in this movie?
He was the scientist in the previous film, but he's actually a businessman with nefarious purposes, and he's now a different character. Thank you.
And of course, Professor. No, it's not Professor Frick. Professor Frick was, of course, voiced by Hank Azaria. So on The Simpsons.
The connection continues.
Yeah. So anyway, the girl's annoying.
Little kid. So she takes the place of the little boy from the Japanese movies. Well, I guess it's a Japanese movie. She kind of is the modern day little annoying boy.
Yeah, and they look for Godzilla. The meteorite kind of shows up in the water where like there's this volcanoes underwater kind of thing going on, and they go to see. I think Godzilla either is around. Like there's this giant thing attached to it, and like I think. Oh, what happens? Godzilla's heading for the nuclear path, right? Or nuclear plant. That's what he's doing. So that's happening, and it crosses path. Meteor moves a little bit, and somehow like it gets jostled loose. Right? They send ships down to take a look at this thing, and then all of a sudden it just kind of like floats up by itself to the top of the water.
They hook balloons because they want to salvage the rock because they think there's a precious metal in it and they can use it.
Yeah.
And so they hook balloons to it, and all of a sudden it goes up faster than the balloons.
Yeah, and then it stays in the water, and then it rises with the sun, and it stands straight up out of the water. So it's probably alien, right?
It's something. I thought it was people from Planet X again. So
I was hoping for that, but before we figure that out, the army takes over and they lock down everything. And one of the guys is so proud of his armor-piercing weapon. He says that it could go through Godzilla like crap through Bruce. That's kind of funny.
Which that phrase doesn't get used enough, especially in Japanese films.
Yeah. Well, although this is dubbed, it's English dubbed, so there might be.
I did look at some of the subtitles because I had both versions going, and they're pretty close. They almost are just reading the subtitles.
That's awesome. So the meteorite flies off, right?
Well, Godzilla's in the midst of like attacking a nuke plant.
Yeah, and then the G-Pen or whoever, they get sponsorships from PC Magazine somehow. I saw that. But the meteorite is like looking for cells or something. And
scientist Smith or whatever, he figures out that Godzilla has this gene that regeneration ability, and that's how he's able to keep living, which, okay, good, fair enough, I'll take it. That's how science works in these movies. Mm-hmm. And the little rock asteroid thing flies over where Godzilla's fighting, and it has like a cannon. Like it looks like a cave, but then the cave shoots Godzilla and just knocks the shit out of him.
Yeah, so that's where we find out that it's like an alien spaceship. And Godzilla blasts it.
Dirt off of it.
It blasts a lot of work on it. You see the silver shiny stuff. And meanwhile, like TV reporter lady who gets duped into helping the G-Pen stuff is like seeing some stuff on her laptop that's like transmissions either from I think it's from the spaceship itself, but there's something that's leading her down. Like
it's really wacky. Is her computer's getting hacked in an era when you really didn't have a Wi-Fi capable computer?
Well,
alien
that's the droids you're looking for.
Science, alien science. That's why aliens in these movies are good, because then you can do whatever the hell you want and be like, well, it's alien technology, so.
Yeah. So someone at this point um, um, says Great Caesar's ghost, which I thought was awesome.
That was right out of Superman, I think.
Yeah. Great Caesar's ghost.
That's a Perry White thing.
Yeah. So Godzilla looks cool swimming. I like what they do with swimming Godzilla in this one. So, and I think it's the aliens that are hacking. But
The aliens are hacking because they want pictures of Godzilla and they want to know about Godzilla. And then, is this the one that throws a little tentacle into him and kind of sucks some blood off of him?
Maybe. There's, yeah, because what happens is that the spaceship crumbles all out, right? Then it grows like tentacles, right? And I think it uses like either got some stuff from Godzilla, or it found it or something that allowed it to do that, and then it was using those tentacles to like hook into the world's internet and get information or something.
It got the regenerate G gene from Godzilla, and then it used it to heal itself and turn into like a big space jellyfish kind of thing. It actually looked a lot like the creature from War of the Worlds for a minute. And so it does that, turns into a jellyfish with tentacles, and it starts jacking with Godzilla some more.
Yeah, so, and they just fight, really.
They just fight, and it turns into, what the hell is the thing it turns into?
It kind of turns into like a monster. They call it Orga.
Orga. Okay.
But it slowly mutates and mutates and mutates from just the ship alone to like some ship monster.
And that can regenerate.
Yeah, yeah.
So Godzilla messes it up, and then it grows back, and then Godzilla messes it up, and it grows back.
Yeah, and the spaceship part flies off from this monster, and then like Godzilla kind of blasts this spaceship, and then goes back and does the monster.
And he really toasts the monster. Like he finally figures out, he's like, oh, I just have to keep breathing on this thing a lot, and so it can't regenerate, and he just basically cooks it to it's a crisp. Because even the regeneration cells have a limit, I guess, is what they were saying.
Oh yeah, we should point out the head of the CCI guy.
Oh yeah, CCI. It's not G-Force in this; it's CCI.
Yeah, but the guy is kind of a dick.
He just wants to. It's back to the age-old Godzilla debate: is the scientist wants to study him and contain him, and the government guy just wants to kill him.
Yeah, so like it's cool because obviously there's some great fighting going around, and Godzilla comes out on top. Oh, this is where they really start to do the blast a lot better. Like the blast, because you can see the spine charging, and you can see the little like particles around his mouth heat up and move and light up, and then it's just like it's almost like he whips it. It's like wah, and the fire
gets a lot of range out of it,
Yeah, the fire, the radioactive breath in this and the future movies are awesome. I enjoy it a lot. And what else?
And if this I'm correct, this is the one where after he vanquishes his enemy and is still alive, he just like pauses for a moment and then spins around and just sets the entire city on fire, which is just awesome. I was like, yes, burn it all down. Burn it.
So yeah, that Orga monster also like opened up its jaws like a snake and tried to swallow Godzilla whole.
Oh yeah, that was kind of badass.
And then Godzilla did his little like pulse. It just blew it all to bits. That's how he won.
He just like supercharged himself and just blew the shit out of that monster. Yeah. And I don't know if he was breathing fire in there or doing whatever, but it killed that thing. So he knows what he's doing.
So yeah, they.
Yeah, this was by far my favorite ending to a Godzilla movie, where he's just like, okay, I won, and then instead of like going back in the ocean, he just burns the whole fucking city down.
Well, not only that, but he takes a moment and he finds that CCI guy. He's like, Godzilla! And Godzilla's just standing there and he just like mops him with his claw.
They like share a moment, and then he just like smashes the building. And the guy falls to his death.
Yeah, Godzilla!
Smash, and then they pan away and Godzilla's silhouette over the city, and he's fires his spines fire up, he loads out a big thing, and he just like turns like full circle, and they just show the city in flames and Godzilla roaring, and it's like, oh, that's perfect.
Why does he keep protecting us?
He really wasn't.
Because he's in each one of us. That's what they said. There's a place of Godzilla in all of us.
Where everybody's got a monster within, and it's like, I got news for you. He just burned down your whole city. He ain't protecting you. He just fights things that are roughly his same size. So
yeah. So this one was refreshing as hell. Obviously, I like to think that this Orga monster was a big like FU to Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin, because that year before they came out with Independence Day, which dealt with alien invasion, which is a lot like what this happened. And if you see it for a second, you can kind of see that the tentacles are a lot like the tentacles on the aliens from Independence Day as well.
There's another a little rub at Independence Day in the next movie too.
Yeah, they're taking shots like no other. Like
yeah, they did.
Deservedly so. So that was cool. It definitely brought Godzilla back, and actually, the best trailer, like the one for this one that's coming out this week, is cool. The best trailer I've ever seen ever involved Godzilla 2000, because it was just scenes of Godzilla blowing up stuff with Rob Zombie's Super Beast playing in the background, and that's perfect. It's so good.
Yeah, look for that to pop up on the Gonzo Guys page on the Facebook page.
Yes. So that leads us to our last movie of the week, and for this episode, and it's Godzilla vs. Megaguirus.
Megaguirus. Godzilla vs. Megaguirus.
So, like this starts off again. They just kind of, it's a new timeline. They retcon everything. They just say 1954 is the starting point. This is what's happened, and the capital went from Tokyo to Osaka. It's in an alternate universe with advanced technology. Godzilla attacks Japanese. They do this montage where Godzilla just levels any kind of attempt at nuclear energy in Japan. I think that's hilarious.
Any kind of like dirty energy, Godzilla goes after it. So they had to switch to solar and wind and other things, and then they think they've gotten slick, and they come up with plasma energy, and he comes and destroys the city.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, we got to get rid of this thing, because even though it's plasma and clean, this monster still hates it. So so they're like, okay, well, what can we do? And what did they do? They ended up figuring out with some scientist guy.
Oh yeah, this science in this is heavy.
And the old lady that was like around originally, to figure out of like conceiving of a black hole gun.
Which I might add is, as poor as the science is in this movie, that's the most badass weapon ever.
Yeah. So they test it, and while they test it, a fly through this, like when the black hole gets done, there's an aftershock, afterwake of a wormhole. And while the wormhole is there and they all go back, the wormhole is still kind of there. This prehistoric bud flies out, drops an egg, and then flies back in. So even though they changed the timeline around and they retcon some stuff, they still have an annoying kid in this movie.
Oh my god. And, I should say, this kid pretty much dooms the city.
Yeah, because he used to live out, he used to live out in the country where they were testing. Their family was moving to Osaka, wherever the hell it was, the big city. And he finds this egg, and he takes it with him when they move. So
he finds an egg in the forest, a mutated egg, hauls it back home, and then he's scared he's going to get in trouble when they move to the city. So he takes it and throws it in the sewer.
Yeah, and that's where
the city.
And meanwhile, like the leader of the G Graspers lady is kind of a hard ass, and she like tries to talk the kid to like keeping things secret and stuff like that, and
that was a little molestery bit of a talk there.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, if you look at it at a different angle, it is.
I mean, if you change the circumstances and it's a guy and something else happens, they're like, let's keep this between us. Remember, you don't tell mom and dad. It's like, I
Yeah.
thought I was watching a Godzilla movie.
So obviously, the egg hatches and grows more and more bugs. And they do a cool scene where they kill off this couple. It was pretty. It almost has some horror undertones to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a little horror movie-ish. There's some blood and some goo, and like the giant dragonfly kind of things are like eating people.
Yeah. So they start flying around the city, and they start growing. It causes a flood. The city floods.
Because they grow in water, so they need water.
Yeah. So Godzilla shows again. Meanwhile, Godzilla's back on the scene. He keeps coming up from this crevasse in the ocean. And the Tokyo Trench.
Tokyo Trench, and
I think it's the Tokyo Trench.
The Tokyo Trench. They want the one leader commander of the G Graspers, which is an odd name. It's just called the G Force. But she really wants to kill Godzilla because her commanding officer died fighting him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because she either couldn't pull the trigger, or maybe that was a different flashback.
She was going to shoot him again, but the guy made her move, and then a piece of building fell on him.
On him, yeah. So she had a vendetta on the whole time.
And she never got any nicer through the whole course of that movie. She was mean and snide and crotchety the whole movie. They have to go get a young guy who knows how to build microbots.
So while these bugs are showing up, right? They lure Godzilla to an island because they need to get him on dry land so they can shoot. They move the black hole gun to the satellite, so they need to be able to shoot him from space. And they fire, but I think like they miss or something, right?
Yeah, they miss. Yeah, they're a little to the left. There's a bunch of little bugs flying all around Godzilla, so they can't target him at first. And then he kills a bunch of them. They're like, okay, we're clear, and they fire, and they freaking miss.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the remaining of the bugs, they're called the Megaluons or Meganuons or whatever. Some of them like sap some of Godzilla's blood, and then they fly back.
And they feed a giant egg.
They feed a giant egg, and this is like the next stage of the monster. So of course, Megaguirus is the queen of the Meganulla. They obviously have to have their queen. So it hatches from the water, of course.
Yep. And it comes out, and it's the quintessential. I'm the big monster. Godzilla's going to fight monster.
Yeah, so she starts blowing up the city with her like hypersonic wings and whatever.
She does she goes up on top of buildings and then does her wings, and the building blows up downward, and it looks a lot like Independence Day.
Yeah. So obviously Godzilla shows up and they fight. Excuse me.
And Godzilla, this thing keeps fucking with Godzilla. This was a great fight. I really like this fight, but there was almost some humor injected. I like this because it had a little bit of that feel of the '60s, where Godzilla is kind of like a thinking man's monster. And the bug it's like when you're trying to kill a fly in your house and you like hold real still, and then like you turn your head and it's right there. The thing does it to Godzilla a couple times, and like except when he turns, it like hits him in the ass with his stinger.
Yeah, the stinger is at play big time here because it also saps energy from Godzilla. Like during the fight scene, it sticks Godzilla as he was going to do his atomic breath, but he couldn't fire because it sapped his energy.
Yeah, because usually Godzilla gets tangled up and he just breathes fire on whatever's attacking him, and it screws him up. In this case, he starts to light it up, and the thing just sucks the energy right out of him.
Yeah. But there's another cool thing, and this was with the really long spines I thought was really cool, is that it was flying toward Godzilla to take it out, and Godzilla ducked, and one of the spines cut one of the legs off. I thought that was kind of cool.
That was badass. And then, a couple times Godzilla dodges purposefully, so that he's kind of using his spines, and he's pretty nimble.
Yeah. Yeah,
But the fly keeps coming around behind him, like he loses him for a second, and he just sits there and kind of turns his head back and forth. And I'm like, this is just like when I was trying to kill that fly earlier today. And but the Stinger's the big threat with Megaguirus.
yeah. And Megaguirus was gonna stab Godzilla like in the eye or something, but at the last second he catches the stinger with his jaws.
Which is awesome.
He crushes it, and then he blasts Megaguirus to all the hell.
He just whoops him, and then there is one other part where he comes up from him behind to get him, and Godzilla's playing possum, and he throws his tail up around him and grabs him and just whacks the shit out of him with his tail, which is awesome.
Yeah. So
Good fighting, this one.
The fighting was awesome. It's probably one of the better fighting, like the whole part where I think you already talked about, where he gets knocked into the twin buildings, and then the bug knocks down like part of the building and falls right on Godzilla's head. And just stuff like that. It was really good fighting.
There's like a decorative roof piece that's just like hanging by a thread, and it's like right above Godzilla's face as he's laying on the ground getting his bearings. And the bug just comes over and like just bangs him right in the head with it.
Yeah, it was cool. So, so what we find out is the reason Godzilla was showing up over there was that there was a secret nuclear project with plasma energy. That was at the Science Institute, so he's going to go there and try to destroy that. But
it was all supposed to be banned so Godzilla would quit showing up. But it wasn't.
So finally the lady who's bent up about it flies like a ship to kind of help get the black hole gun. not that song Black Hole Sun, but Black Hole Gun.
They can't target Godzilla for some reason, but they can lock onto the ship. Again, science, everybody, science. So either way, she's got to fly like right over Godzilla, and then they'll lock onto him through her, and then she'll eject and get away. While he gets hit with the black hole gun. And it should be noted, the black hole gun, they don't talk about it obliterating Godzilla, it just says it's going to send him to another dimension.
Yeah.
Essentially, which is kind of, he'll be gone, he'll be trapped there forever like it's a cage.
No, it'll be more like they just dumped him somewhere else where he can wreak havoc.
He landed on Planet X.
California loves the homeless.
By the way, I love the idea of the black hole gun. I feel like that should have been a weapon on Quake.
Yeah, man, that would have ended all those stupid multiplayer lag sessions back in the day.
It's like I got BHG.
BHG, black hole gun. Yeah.
Black hole gun.
So they hit Godzilla and he's gone. Everyone's happy, right?
Well, Godzilla's gone, and they're like, "Oh, okay, he's gone." And then they got to sneak the line in.
Well, in the postlude, right at the end credits.
Well, before that, even they're like, "What if was it in the end credits where they say that? We're like, what if Godzilla were to ever escape from the black hole?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, first of all, his matter would be obliterated, but again, science.
Yeah.
So he's in wherever he is. What if he tries to escape from the black hole? And it's like, well, if he does, you're all fucking dead because he'll be mad.
Well, that's what happened, right? In the post-credit scene.
Which I almost missed.
Yeah, the lady enlists the guy who helped build the gun, enlists him again because they had suspicious seismic activity, and then like you hear Godzilla's roar as an earthquake strikes Japan. That's the end of the movie.
Well, the kid that doomed Tokyo or wherever the hell he was living because he stole the egg, he's putting his little pinned up bugs back in the science lab to go.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he's like, I'll put him away, and then he goes in there, and he like sets him down. All of a sudden, like the whole room shakes and skeletons fall over, and he looks out the window all terrified, and you hear the roar, and you're like, all right, he's still alive. And he's maybe going to kill everybody this time.
Yeah. So, So that's the scene in the movie with a good teaser. So, man, this movie was fun. I don't ever remember.
This one was a good time.
I don't ever remember actually seeing this movie either, so I'm even more excited that I was able to watch it in this retrospective because the fight scenes were badass.
This was a great fight, great monster fight.
Oh, excuse me. And the humans were in it just enough.
Just enough.
It wasn't too much human stuff. So
I didn't believe that it was the kid's fault. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, believe it or not, this is probably our longest episode ever.
Well, we got sidetracked on a piece of shit.
Which are the Godzilla 98 movies? So let's go ahead and rank them. I think I'll start this time.
Yep.
98 is negative a billion.
Yep.
We shall never refer to it ever again, and we'll do what Toho did from here on out. We're not calling it Godzilla. We're just calling it Zilla.
Yeah.
And we'll find out in Final Wars why that's important.
Yep.
After that, oh man, I gotta do Godzilla 2000 next, only because it was an answer to Zilla, and it was all right. There were some cool fight scenes, but it was okay. And the next one, I'll do Megaguirus because the fight scenes were a lot better, and they didn't dwell on the human stuff too much. But I'm gonna have to close it out for my number one favorite one of the week versus Destoryah because not only were the fight scenes pretty good, Junior was involved. They closed a lot of loopholes. They closed a lot of the continuity. And the end scene where it was so sad seeing Godzilla melt away and then having this young one show back up was epic, and it was pivotal for the series in terms of just what happened and how they did it and how it looked and how they played out. So that's how I ranked them for this week.
Okay, so goes without saying, 98 blows. If there's a number lower than like negative infinity, let's put it there. It's worse than some of the stuff we watched on Gonzo Guys. I almost would rather watch Shanghai Surprise again.
Wow, really?
I think so. There's some part. There's so much schlocky shit in there. I just wanted to gouge my ears out. So it's down there, and it's by far the worst of all the Godzilla movies you watch. That's it.
Are you sure that mask isn't too tight there? Is it coming up?
I'll reconsider that. The hatred I felt while watching it was 2 hours. It was just and I didn't even know the Siskel and Ebert thing, and that would have made it worse.
Well, now you know, and now it made it worse.
I know it, so it's worse. So I'll give it some consideration. I'll revisit this in the next episode. Anyway, so that's out of the 4. That's number 4. Number 3. Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't make 2000 because I love the end of 2000 so much. I'm gonna say number 3 is gonna be. It can't be Destroyer. It's 2000 Destroyer and I'm gonna say number 3 is Megaguirus, even though it had an awesome fight scene. It had a decent ending teaser on it. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is going to be. Number 2 is gonna be. I'm gonna put Destoryah number 2. I love Destoryah. No, I take it back. No. Scratch that. Destoryah's number 1. Has the classic sad ending, so it's like Empire Strikes Back, which means it's the best one. Then you get to number 2, which this is a tough 1A. I love the Godzilla torched the city at the end. Best ending ever. I would have put the the Megaguirus up higher if, like, when that kid looked out the window, you just saw the building blow up.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome. But no, when he just spins around and torches the city, that is just perfect.
Cool. All right. Well,
I'm by far his biggest fan, and I want him to kill all humans. So.
All right. Well, that's this week. Epidos. We 98 was going to be a hard pill to swallow, and we did it for you.
It was almost like an inserted Epidos in the middle of this.
It pretty much was. Runtime-wise, definitely.
Yeah, this might be a 2-parter.
Or poo tartar. I don't know what that means.
We can just edit out the 98 stuff, and it'll be about 5 minutes.
Yeah. So that was again Godzilla vs. Destoryah, Godzilla 1998, Godzilla 2000 Millennium, and Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. Coming up next week. Hopefully we'll have 2. If not, we'll at the very least have 1. It will be Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All-Out Attack GMK, longest title ever. Then we got Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, And then we have Godzilla Tokyo SOS. And then we have Godzilla Final Wars.
Which I am just itching to watch.
I'm itching for Final Wars as well.
That looks like it's going to be bad ass.
And we also have, I'm going to the premiere Thursday night. Not really the premiere, just the opening night.
Opening night Godzilla 2014.
Because I think the premiere already happened because we're seeing reviews. So hopefully we'll have two, if not. Here's a warning that the very last one will contain spoilers.
Yes.
Check us out on the Facebooks, facebook.com/GonzoGuys, at GonzoGuys on Twitter, gonzoguys.podbean.com for
GonzoGuys.com in general. You can go there too. iTunes has got us. We're all over the place.
Do we have any melted John Kennedy heads available?
Oh my God! I have buckets full of them. I've got presidents and all kinds of freshly found Gonzo gifts, everything, all across the board. So watch for your chance to win on Facebook, Twitter, Gonzo Guys Central. There's new posts about, there's a poetic review of our latest movie.
And I brought tears to my eyes, seriously, so go out and check that out.
There's all kinds of stuff out there. You just participate, and you have things coming.
So until then, I'm Gonzo Mike.
Gonzo Tim.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, you can fast forward 98 Godzilla.
Fast forward? No, what? What? What?
It's the one exception.
It's the one exception. Hail Hydra! Hail Hydra! Hail Hydra!
Hail Hydra! Oh, spoiler.
Yo,